Okay, welcome everybody to another episode. This is a throwback episode with Jimmy and Frank. James, how are you? James?
I'm right here, Frank.
Oh yeah, I'm introduced to the audience. So today, real quick, we're gonna the name of the episode is called Rumble Mania, and since the Royal Rumble is fast approaching, we'll talk about news and rumors concerning the Royal Rumble and other hot juicy topics. Yes. And when did the Royal Rumble first start, James?
88.
88. Wow. Okay. And that was for you young fans out there. That Pat Patterson invented that.
Yes, he did.
So the Royal Rumble, the idea of the Royal Rumble is it's a reverse battle royal. Instead of everybody starting at once, you start with one man and two men, and so forth. And of course, the stipulation is that the winner gets a shot at the champion at Wrestle Mania. And I guess that now this year there's two titles, so whoever wins can pick whichever title. And now, James, did you know that they're going to have an inaugural women's Royal Rumble?
Well, ever since I saw the Hell in a Cell match with Charlotte and Sasha, I figured they were eventually going to go to a Rumble. Didn't
Right,
think it'd be any time soon.
right. Well, yeah, they announced it I think 2 weeks ago, so it'll actually be Raw and SmackDown because of course they don't have enough competitors. But all
Good
right,
for the ladies. Good for them.
well, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough to pull it off. I think they can pull it off, and I think they also they had the first ever women's Money in the Bank last year, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's when.
No,
Yeah,
I don't know. I
yeah,
don't know.
no, yeah, they did, of course, and they spoke up. It was a joke because they spoke about the women's revolution, and then of course, what happens? James Ellsworth is the guy was the one who pulled down the briefcase. So you had a man winning the first ever women's Money in the Bank.
Well, if they actually look back, the origins of the women's revolution was in NXT, and it was about these women having these kick-ass matches.
Right,
I
right.
think I think it's
Bailey,
evolved into something else, but hey, that's neither here nor there.
right, Bailey, and Charlotte, and
Actually, it goes back to Paige and Emma when they were fighting each
oh,
other
right.
for the NXT Women's Championship, and then you saw matches like Charlotte versus Natalia, where I think it was Natalia that had Brett in her corner,
Oh,
and
right.
Charlotte had Flair,
That
and
was
that was all on NXT. And let me tell you something. That's one thing I miss about having the network. They used to have a ton of incredible matches consistently, Frank.
right. Yeah,
I
I
know
know.
you didn't have the patience to watch it,
I
but
know.
it
I
was
know.
always fun.
It's good because they could. It's a different format, so it's fresh, and it comes off fresh. But
And it's only an hour.
right, exactly. And it's only once a month or once a week, so it comes off fresh.
Once a week.
And also, so then there's another rumor that they're gonna have. I think they're thinking about doing a women's elimination chamber this year.
If they get the right women in there, it'll be good.
Right, but yeah, it's good. It's good because I think some of them have talent. But Emma, she got released after.
Oh, they got rid of her?
Yeah, she was when Asuka debuted. She went up against.
Ooh, they called her up.
Yeah, and her debut, her first opponent was Emma, and everybody thought Asuka was gonna like squash Emma, but it turned out to be like a 12-minute match.
Has that is that how Oscar's been portrayed? She's having
No,
competitive
only,
matches?
only no, only in the debut match. Just like maybe like Nakamura. Remember, Nakamura when his pay-per-view debut was against Dolph Ziggler, and that went like 15 minutes, and it kind of like fell flat because the fans were expecting to see like uh, Asuka and Nakamura like do their stuff and win quick, but I think they do that because they want to see if they could pull off a 10-15 minute match. You understand?
Well, I think they proved that they perfectly could. If
Yeah,
the
yes, but
people that watch, the people that watch, that are in charge of SmackDown, all they had to do was watch their NXT matches. They did just fine.
yes, but James, and I know you might not agree with it. A lot of people, on NWW, once you step past those curtains on the main roster, it's a whole new ball game, and nothing can prepare you for it. But anyway, So let's move on. Yeah, Oscar. No, Oscar is she's being portrayed as a kick-ass. What you called? She's being portrayed as a kick-ass, and rumors are she's gonna probably win the.
Well, that would be a smart decision.
Although I my earlier video today I read that there was a rumor that Ronda Rousey might show up and be an entrant in the Royal Rumble.
Ronda Rousey.
I know. That's crazy. She's filming a movie, so I don't know where the rumor was that she was actually going to win it, but that's false because is she a wrestler? Is she trained? Just because she's an MMA fighter.
If Ronda Rousey is going to become part of the WWE, I do not think her first act will be to win the inaugural Women's Royal Rumble. For the simple fact of she's not a proven commodity, and whoever does win this Rumble will be somebody who can carry a WrestleMania caliber match.
Right.
And Ronda Rousey is a gigantic question mark, and it would be unwise of them to do such a thing.
Yeah. I don't agree. Anyway, but yeah, I think Oscar probably will win, and they'll probably have a.
That would be well. That'll at least be one Rumble that the fans will get to be satisfied over because the Royal Rumble is ending with one or two guys, and they're both part of the Breakfast Club. So
we'll talk about we'll see about that. But anyway, the curious because at the Survivor Series title match was a dream match between Brock and AJ. I don't know if you saw that match, James.
Frank, since The Undertaker put his hat down, I haven't watched them. The only time I felt compelled to watch, even though I didn't, was when I heard the rumors that Brock was fighting Joe.
Okay, well, yeah, that match, those two matches in the summertime between Brock and Joe, and Brock and Braun, though Braun and Joe pretty much carried the offense 90% of the match. It looked like
with Brock's latest wrestling style, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, no, they were beating him up. They were like Braun was completely dominating him. It looked like both matches looked like what Brock did to Cena in 2014, and then at the end, Brock won, of course. But the Survivor Series match with
how many F5s did Strowman take?
No, nobody, because they're putting over the F5.
I'm asking how many did he take?
No, one. Everybody takes one. Nobody's kicking out of the F5 because, of course, they're going to save that for WrestleMania because at WrestleMania, then everybody's going to kick. There's going to be a couple kickouts out of the F5. So they're training the audience they're conditioning the audience to know that once the F5 is hit, the match is over. But of course, then at WrestleMania, it's going to be, oh my God, 1, 2, oh. We know that. See, I know that, and that's why it's I could see through that. But anyway, that match with Brock and AJ, that was pretty good. It was champion versus champion, and the theme of that match was like Rocky match. They tried to make AJ like Rocky, and he was getting beat up. Like he could even like compete with Brock in the beginning, but then he started getting his offense in, and they had you believe that AJ was close to beating him, but F5
until he eats a spear.
Yeah, but and listen, and see, that's what I remember that match. I was telling everybody how good both wrestlers are because AJ put Brock into the calf crusher.
Yeah,
and it looked like see Brock sells. That's why I like Brock because he's not always about dominating, and he sold that calf crusher. For 5 minutes after the match ended, he had Paul Heyman. He put his arm around Paul Heyman, and like he was pretending like he was limping. So see that's good. That's talent. And but anyway, so I don't know what this crazy match is. They have for the Royal Rumble. They have a 3-way match with Brock, Braun, and Kane. And now you'll say. Yeah, you'll say it's 2018. Why is Kane back? I say it's pretty simple.
Has Finn Balor even interacted with Brock?
No, I keep showing you those pictures of the YouTube.
Frank, I'm not interested in YouTube. I'm interested in what's been going on.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, you have to be interested in YouTube because YouTube is a sample of what the audience is looking at. Finn Balor is in the mid card right now. He's just right now. He's neutral. He's not doing anything.
Oh, okay. Just like Samoa Joe, just like Bray Wyatt. Oh, okay.
They can't. Well, listen. I don't want to get off top. You can't have. There's James. There's only so many spots at the top. You can't have.
No, but there's always a spot for Roman Reigns. Okay.
Well, he's not at the top right now.
Oh, he will be when WrestleMania's over.
We'll see. We'll see. All right. So listen, this match, obviously, the three-way match between Brock, Braun, and Kane. Kane is there to take the pin. He's the one. He's going to get pinned. Now, is it going to be Braun pinning him or Brock? I don't know. And then, of course, the Royal Rumble. Who knows who's going to show up? I think a surprise entrant this year will be probably. I think I have a funny feeling. I think Kenny Omega is going to make a surprise entrance in this year's Royal Rumble.
Kenny Omega. He's the United States champion of another company.
Yeah, but he's wrestling Jericho.
But that doesn't mean anything. Jericho went over to Japan.
Right. I think he might. Yeah. First of all, if you don't think that was worked out with the WWE and New Japan, you're sadly mistaken. You think Jericho is gonna have a match with another company without the permission of WWE?
I don't think the WWE is in any position to tell Chris Jericho what he can and cannot do. He can go wherever he wants.
No, I don't think so. I think they have a little working agreement. I think Vince and Triple H and Stephanie, I think they trust Jericho, and I think the favor will be to return. The return favor will be maybe they lend Omega for one night for a few minutes in the Royal Rumble. I don't know. I don't know. Don't put too much stock into it.
I'm not. Trust me.
We'll see. But anyway, yeah. So I read today these crazy rumors of Cena and Reigns being the winners, and
one of them will be, because it's going to come down to the two of them.
I think it's the stupidest thing that they could do.
But that's exactly why I'm saying that, Frank.
Right.
The last couple of Royal Rumbles, I have asked myself, what is the dumbest thing they could possibly do? I said that for the 2014 Rumble, they did it. I said it for the 2015 Rumble, they did it. Said it for 16. 17, honestly, last year was a big question mark. But once I saw Reigns and Taker do the stare, then I'm like, oh.
Right. Well, listen, and the one big thing is, what city
I know where it is. It's going to be in Philadelphia.
Right. So that's if they're really asking for it. I mean, people will throw garbage into the ring.
Honestly, Frank, I think that's what it's going to take. People are going to have to pepper these motherfuckers with trash for them to actually get. Sorry, no, thank you.
So listen, I don't think either of them are going to win. So now I don't think now the question is going to be a Raw superstar or a SmackDown Live superstar?
Raw.
Yeah, last year, of course, Randy Orton won, but there's a lot of speculation. As Conrad would say, rumor and innuendo is that Nakamura might be a surprise winner and go straight to WrestleMania. But then I found this article. If you see, there's this article. I forgot who it was. They're reporting that they found a leaked advertisement for Fastlane 2018, which takes place in March, and they're advertising a fatal five-way match for the WWE title with AJ Styles as the champion, and that's gonna. So if that's true, AJ will be the champion going into WrestleMania, probably.
Where he will probably drop it to Cena.
Yeah, who knows? And now, who knows?
So WrestleMania is going to end with Cena winning the WWE title and Reigns winning the Universal title.
Yeah, see,
wow.
Now that's one thing. First of all, the Cena, if they do go that route, Cena and AJ will be somewhere in the middle. I don't think they're going to be close to the end, which is good, I think, in a way, because I always say you get more time. Two people of their caliber will probably get more time in the middle than at the end. But I don't think that will happen. I don't think there'll be two. I don't think Cena and Reigns will win titles at WrestleMania. And the other rumor is, James, that maybe Cena and Reigns are going to have a match again at WrestleMania. What do you think about that?
Well, if they're going to wrestle each other in a regular one-on-one match with nothing at stake.
Well, Roman is the Intercontinental Champion right now.
He's what?
Yeah, he's been the Intercontinental Champion, and the reason why I believe this rumor is because he's been mimicking John Cena's U.S. Open Challenge. Now Reigns has the Intercontinental Open Challenge, and Cena actually showed back up. I think a couple weeks ago.
You want to know something? If I thought for a second that those two were going to fight each other in the middle of the card, I would be compelled to actually watch WrestleMania, because that would mean neither one of them would be in the main event.
Oh, yeah. Listen, that's what I said in my video earlier today. Let them have their match. Only their fans will care. Their first match sucked. It was garbage. Everything about it was garbage. The promos were garbage. The match wasn't that great.
I watched your YouTube video where you broke down their promo. You want to know what that basically was, Frank? That was the company telling those two, I want you guys to go out there and talk about what your haters say about you.
Yeah, well, yeah,
that's basically what that was.
Yeah, but listen, Cena made Roman look bad, but that's his. He made Roman look really, really bad when he said, if you want to be the big dog, you're going to learn how to cut a promo. That was pretty big. But listen, I hope those two just have their own match and just leave everybody alone.
Well, that would certainly be good. And if Roman's the Intercontinental Champion, put the IC title on Cena so he becomes a Grand Slam champion, so his fans can wet their fucking pajamas.
Right, and he gets his win back, of course.
Which you only rent wins from John Cena. He always gets them back.
Well, listen, I've been noticing Super Cena the last few matches he's had in 2017. He's been getting cheered. He's been getting cheered a lot, and it only makes sense because he's not full time anymore. Now he's part time. When he comes back, he's almost like becoming a nostalgia act. And that last match with Reigns, when he lost, he stood in the corner. Of course, he did the, he raised Roman's hand, and then he went into the corner and he stood there and he sat there like he was crying, and the fans were like actually applauding him. So I don't know. So maybe that's what it takes for John Cena to get over this.
When he's not exploiting sick and dying children.
Yeah, stay away for 6 months and come back, which he's going to do for the rest of his career. But James, then my theory is for the Royal Rumble is I think somehow, some way, Brock will pin Kane, hold on to his title, and then I think Braun will enter the Royal Rumble, because I think the Royal Rumble will be the last match, and I think Braun will crush everybody. And
what makes you think that Vince is going to back down from what he's been wanting to do?
Well, in my video I told you I saw that the writer he posted included a tweet by Braun that saying Vince has taken him on as a special project.
And on that basis alone, Vince is going to rake out the carpet from Reigns?
I don't think. As much as we disagree, I think I think whoever's calling the shots, I think they finally got it into their head that it's just no matter what they do with Roman, he's going to get booed. Even with the Shield reunion experiments, which I hated. I knew the fans were going to pop, but now that Dean Ambrose got hurt. And now that Seth Rollins won the title with Jason Jordan Monday, they're the new tag team champions. Now there is no more Shield, so now Reigns is back by himself, and he's still getting booed. Yeah, nothing's changed. He's still getting booed.
What makes me laugh is that they handed him, and I know that this is not something that you care about. I'm just speaking for myself. They handed him The Undertaker on a silver platter, knowing he would get this type of heat. And that's the last image we see of Taker.
Right. And actually
bitched out by fucking Reigns.
Yeah, Roman, right after the Cena match, that's when they had the Shield reunion, and that's when Roman did his face turn. I know, it's not a traditional He wasn't a traditional heel turn.
Frank, he's been a face since 2014, dude.
Yeah, yes, I know. That's they portray.
There's a reason that there's called heels and faces. A
I
heel
know.
is a
I
villain.
understand. You don't have to explain.
Well, then why? Then I need you to explain to me why you keep calling Reigns a heel.
Because
he's not.
Because I know, but they're not giving him. See, everybody wants to say Cena 2.0, but they stopped last year. They in 2016 once he lost the title, he hasn't gotten the title back. I mean,
if Cena was in the match with the Undertaker, would he have lost?
Oh, Cena?
Yes.
No, he probably would have went over. He was
exactly.
And now, the other rumor is that maybe Cena and the Undertaker, but I don't know. I don't think the Undertaker.
What?
Yeah, I don't think the Undertaker's coming back. So that's another thing. That's one of the reasons why I think that they made the Undertaker lose was so that the fans just don't want another match. They don't want him to. They don't want to beg him and make him come back. But all right, listen. Yeah, I know I played this the other day.
I don't want to harp or focus on Lex Luger, but I always like to ask people who've been around, who've seen, Jesus Christ as a person who grew up as a fan of the business, a student of the game, and inside the closest workings with Vince McMahon. Quick story, I've told it a million times. I'll tell you, we were at the Garden. The entrance to the Garden is a very short way to the ring. Right. There's the blue curtains at the dressing room. I was there when the Click broke kayfabe at the big hug fest, when Kevin and Razor went down south. But I was there, and Steve Blackman walked to the ring, and me and Vince were watching at the curtain, and the crowd gave a pretty good fucking response. And me and Vince looked at each other and said, "God damn, it's a pretty good pop." And Vince looked at me and he goes, "Yeah, Steve, I really hope he can get over." And when he said that, Bruce, it was like a light bulb went off in my head. It's like, oh, okay, I get it. This man can set the table for you. He can want you to get over. He can put a rocket pack on you. But at the end of the day, it's up for you to get over. So to you and everything that you've seen, from massive successes to people who had boatloads of potential but never could get it, to the catastrophic failures, in your opinion, what does it take for someone to get over?
It's that intangible and it's different for everybody, but it's a combination of charisma, but they also got to believe in themselves.
All right, there you go. That's what I was trying to make you hear. So just like Stone Cold said, Vince could put everything behind Roman, but he's not connecting. He doesn't have that charisma.
Then explain the last 10 years of Cena. Exactly. And that's how that whole argument goes right in the trash. Post WCW, Vince did as he pleased, and he paid a hefty price for it. And the price he paid, Frank, was a large percentage of his customers deciding to spend their money on other things.
Right, but listen, Cena's a different animal.
He's not. He's not a different animal. You want to know why they started cheering Cena? Because he was going against Reigns. The fans were stupid and they picked a side.
No, I know. Listen.
So I don't understand, because
going back to when he had the matches with Rock, they said it. It's let's go Cena. Cena sucks. Cena dominates. He dominates with the young kids and the women, and he doesn't. And the men and the boys hate him. So he has a strong demographic, and that was enough, I guess, to carry him all those years. But this is going to segue over to the next segment of wrestlers getting over. Now, James, you have a big problem with all these great wrestlers that are in the mid card, and they're always stuck in the mid card.
I'll never understand how Bray Wyatt, as talented as he is completely stuck in no man's land, always getting beat in big time situations, even though he's never been on the independents. He's a project of the WWE. He is a character originated by them. He can talk. He can work. He has a great character. But meanwhile, Every time he's in a big match, he loses. My wife, who was a casual viewer when I met her, when she first saw Bray Wyatt, she looked at me because my wife watched up until Eddie Guerrero died. She loved Eddie Guerrero. That was her favorite, but she watched previously. When she first saw Bray Wyatt, she looked at me the same way you always say. You know, when you first see a guy and you could tell if he has something, she looked at me, she says, he's got it.
Right.
Something.
Yeah,
and she's right. But the problem, Frank, every time he tells somebody to run, what reason do they have to run if he always comes out on the short end of the stick?
Let me ask you a question. Now, with all his losses, do you still think he's over with all his losses?
No, I think that they've completely ruined him.
So has he been over? Has he just like
he was over and then they killed it?
So even he sustained all those losses and then he didn't get any wins to recuperate, even though he did go.
They gave the audience no reason to care about him.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget they did give him a big push.
Oh.
No, they did it at the end of last year.
No, they didn't. They set the table for Orton to knock him down, bro. They gave him the belt for less than a month. And they let Orton beat him just to drop it to Jinder Mahal, of all people.
All right, well,
what did that prove? Why did Jinder Mahal get the belt, Frank?
I have no idea.
One, he got gassed, and two, he was of Indian descent because they were going to put him as the champion going into the Indian tour. But I guess someone in that fucking locker room must have had the sense to say, this guy's a fucking flop. I had a friend tell me that they had him beat Nakamura clean. Is that true?
He was beating everybody in the summer, but they pulled the plug on him when he was supposed to. He was originally supposed to face Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series in the championship.
There's no way they were originally promoting that match.
Oh yeah. They cut promos on it. Paul Heyman cut a promo on him. And then Jinder Mahal cut a promo on him.
And then you marks.
And then a week
to watch this video. And then you marks wonder why I changed the channel. They believe, Frank, I've been trying to tell you this for years. They believe that whatever they do is what everyone wants to see. That is not how they operated when they were at their best.
Okay, but Jimmy, listen, they corrected their mistake. They took the title off him and gave us Brock versus AJ match at Survivor Series.
Well, then how are they going to fix Bray Wyatt?
I don't know. Listen. It's not the
Bray Wyatt, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor. I don't understand how they could have a locker room full of talented guys.
Right, but you said it yourself. Listen, WWE right now is the major leagues. They have superstars from all over every promotion. All over the world.
And they don't use them.
Listen, but again, not everybody can be at the top. Now, we said Finn Balor.
They have 2 world titles, 2 middle card titles, 2 tag titles.
Right. Of all the names we mentioned, Finn Balor, Ziggler, Ambrose, Rollins, White, they've all been heavyweight champions. It's not like they've been doing job.
Frank.
Well, listen. How are you going to create stars?
I don't know how you, with a straight face, could say Bray Wyatt has been pushed. I don't know how you do it.
He does get pushed. He just doesn't get. He
pushed down.
They just don't sustain him. They just don't sustain.
But that's part of a push, Frank. Being sustained, being treated like you matter consistently. No offense, Frank. Why do you think The Undertaker had the credibility that he did?
He's The Undertaker.
And guess what? Bray Wyatt could have been just as good as him.
I don't know. Listen.
And no one loves The Undertaker more than me.
Okay, listen.
So for me to turn around and tell you that, what do you think that means?
Listen, from what I've told you, and I don't want to talk about Bray Wyatt thing. I told you since the beginning. And I don't necessarily hate Bray Wyatt. I told you since the beginning, his entrance is over. His promos were originally over. Then he started getting long-winded and too supernatural. And I was going to find the clip of Scott Hall. He said, "You never say anything in your promo that you can't back up." And that's the problem with Bray Wyatt. He talks like he's better than The Undertaker, but it's never going to match in the ring. His promos. don't match his character in the ring, and that's where he falls.
What doesn't match his promos is his win-loss record.
Right.
If you tell someone to run, you need to give them a reason to want to run. When The Undertaker used to come out and tell someone, you're going to rest in peace, 9.9 out of 10 times, Frank, they did.
Right, and
So
you saw it last year in Wrestle Mania when they went crazy with the LED ring, where they showed the cockroaches and the worms.
That wasn't my problem with the match. My problem with the match was the result.
Right.
I'd like to ask a very simple question. What did Randy Orton gain from winning that match? Did it make him a bigger star?
Right,
Did it make him more of a legend?
The storyline should have been with all that hocus pocus garbage with the cockroaches and the worms. Randy Orton should have been traumatized, and Bray Wyatt should have beat him, because that's Bray Wyatt's magic. He makes illusions happen, and he should have beat him right there. Once Randy Orton beats him with all that hocus pocus, that kills the Bray Wyatt character.
But that's what I've been trying to explain to you.
I know.
You guys blame him. It's not his fault. It's whoever is the moron making the decision for him to lose all these big matches.
Right.
Why should the audience care about him if you're telling them you shouldn't care about this guy?
Right.
It's like Ziggler for years. No matter how many times he got himself over, they constantly, the freaking, what's his name? The writer, Dave Lagan, I think it was, did an interview with I know another guy you don't like, Solomonster. He turned around and did an interview with Solomonster saying, listen, Pat Patterson was pushing for Ziggler to cash in at Mania. Vince didn't want to do it. The night after, Vince agreed to do it. And then in front of everyone said, we are not pushing Dolph.
Well, no, that was after the.
We will do this for the big pop, and we'll get out of it later on. So it's like a self-fulfilling. Frank, let me finish. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you want something to happen bad enough, you will make it so, even if it shouldn't. So we will book you like shit, and when the audience doesn't care about you, I can say, see, the audience doesn't care.
Yes.
What sense does that make?
No, but Vince said that about him after that Survivor Series.
No, he said that for the cash-in.
Oh, really? I could have swore he said that for.
No, he said that. No, that was when Pat Patterson wanted Dolph to cash in at WrestleMania 29. Mm-hmm. Vince didn't want to do it. The next night they did it because they knew it was a hot crowd, and in front of everyone said, "We are not pushing Dolph. We will get out of this later on." This is confirmed by one of the writers.
Listen, Dolph, he's good. He's good in the ring, but listen, his over the years, his promos weren't exactly the best. I mean,
if we're going to talk about being able to cut good promos, then how has Roman Reigns main evented a single WrestleMania?
Right. But listen,
I mean, we can't pick and choose.
Did you hear what Bruce Pritchard said before? Everybody's different. You can't compare this guy to that guy to that guy. The it factor is for everybody, and it's different for everybody.
And how many guys have they taken that had the it factor that they tried to sabotage?
Listen. This is why you frustrate people, because you talk about all these people like they're fucking Salvatore Bellomo or the Brooklyn Brawler. Dolph Ziggler the other day he just cut a promo saying he's the most decorated champion and one of the most decorated champions in WWE history.
He can say that all he wants. At the end of the day, he has the stigma of being a loser.
He's not a loser. He's just
because they put a ton of titles on The Miz. Is The Miz really worth a damn?
Listen,
no.
Then we could say the same thing about Cena, because Cena's...
No, honestly, Cena's not worth that much either, because with his time at the top, their audience shrunk.
Right, I'm saying...
just because they presented him like he's something...
I'm saying if you want to talk about putting titles on people, you could say the same thing about Cena. Just remind he has what does he have? 16 titles.
Yeah.
All right. So minus one reign where he held the title for 1 year. His other 15 titles averaged about a month and a half to 2 months. He would hold the title for a month, 2 months, and then lose it. So he wasn't really a great champion. They just gave him the title.
No, but he's just constantly presented like he's better than everyone else before.
Right. But if you really think about it, though, he was never really a great champion. You could go, for anybody listening, go on Wikipedia and look up John Cena's title reigns. He a month, 2 months, 3 months, 2 weeks. If you want to go that route. But anyway, listen. This is why you frustrate people. You all these names you mentioned. they have gotten a title.
Frank, you could have a belt all you want. If there's no consistency, you're not going to go nowhere.
Right, but listen.
I mean, come on.
I remember. Listen,
my thing with everyone that gets frustrated with me, from you to Mike Marone to everyone else, I say this: explain how I'm wrong.
Okay, listen. We had Finn Balor. He got pushed to the moon his first month. He got hurt. It's not their fault.
No fault of his own.
It's not his fault. It's not Triple H's fault. It's not Stephanie's fault. It wasn't Seth Rollins' fault.
It was a freak accident.
He got hurt.
Just like what happened to Dean Ambrose recently.
Right. And unless your name is Hulk Hogan or Triple H or The Rock or Stone Cold, you don't take 9 months off and then come back into the top spot. Ziggler, the same thing. Remember, he got a concussion from, who was it, Rybatch?
No, it was Jack Swagger who kicked him in the fucking head.
So there you go. There you go. Ambrose, we talked about it last year. He was the most popular guy going into WrestleMania 2 years ago.
Wasn't hurt at all.
But they should have, at least, I always said he should have been in the match with him and Reigns.
No, instead they made him lose to Triple H in the roadblock match.
Right.
They made him lose in the three-way with Reigns and Brock, where he took the fall, and then he got squashed by Brock.
And then finally in the fall, when they did put the belt on him.
Yeah, by the time they did it, the air was already out of the balloon.
It just wasn't safe. And even if you remember that awkward Stone Cold podcast that they broadcast
Where
live.
Austin fucking put him on blast.
Yeah, he told them, like, see, there you go. I mean, all right. So, and Seth Rollins, I mean, he was given the main event slot. I mean, so I don't know. See, this is why people don't understand you when you say these people are getting buried.
Seth Rollins as WWE champion was presented as a typical chicken shit champion with no credibility.
Right.
Kevin Owens. I'm sorry, Frank, but I have a mountain of evidence.
I know. Listen,
that no offense to you, none of you guys want to hear, because it's an inconvenient truth.
I understand.
Look at Kevin Owens. Give me a second. Look at Kevin Owens when he was the NXT champion, and compare him to when he was Universal Champion.
That's two different things.
They're two world title reigns.
Right. Listen, there's not. Listen, again, you lose the sight of the fact. There's only a couple of slots at the top, and those slots are going to be held.
You're not under. I'm not talking about slots at the top, Frank. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is presentation. Kevin Owens, when he was the NXT champion, he was presented as someone that you should fear, someone who could hurt people, and someone who could get the job done like a man. When he was the Universal Champion, if Jericho wasn't stroking his dick, he was getting beat regularly. Look at Seth Rollins. When he was the WWE Champion, he lost to Cena on television. Never mind pay-per-view television.
5 times in a row.
5 different times.
That was horrible.
I mean, come on. I mean, that's... Like I said before, if what I'm saying is false, present me with evidence how. Getting television time, Frank, I hate to tell you, and I hate to break the news to Steve Williams, Austin, whatever his name is these days, getting television time doesn't mean you're getting pushed.
Yeah, there's 2 different pushes. There's being pushed, and then there's a championship push, which is what you want from these guys. A championship push is what they give Cena, is what they give Reigns.
The Breakfast Club, pretty much.
A championship push, yeah, not
Randy Orton.
Right. So getting
only so many spots at the top, but when these guys don't produce and these guys aren't drawing people in, they still keep their spots.
Yes, I agree. And then I told you real quick that they will. They know this, but they won't change until they find somebody better, and that's why I think
they won't find anyone better if they're not willing to look. They're not willing to look.
Somebody has to come and bowl everybody over. So now I think
they had guys that did that, Frank. They retired one of them.
Right, and I think now
Braun going to Japan soon. Thank God next year.
I think now Braun is that guy. He has it all. He has that. He's a giant, just like what they like. he could
There's
actually,
only two guys in my mind that should be allowed to beat Brock Lesnar. One of them is Samoa Joe. The other one is Braun Strowman.
right.
And the way I see it is this, Frank. I could care less if the guy is as small as Chad Gable or as big as Braun Strowman. If a guy is getting more cheered than anyone else, you push him to the moon.
Right.
It's
listen,
not that complicated.
Braun has been getting pops. He's been getting cheered for the last year. He gets cheered over Roman Reigns, and believe me, when he wins the if he wins the Royal Rumble, he'll get cheered. If he wins the title at Mania, he'll get cheered. And the night after WrestleMania on Raw,
and guess what? Braun's not even in my top 5 favorites. I would be perfectly fine if I read the next day that he wins the Royal Rumble, because guess what? It would be refreshing to see somebody win the Rumble that the crowd isn't against.
Right. So I think that now, real quick, we're gonna move on to the TV ratings. Yes, the TV ratings have gone down since the Attitude Era, since the Ruthless Aggression Era, and I've been saying that they were spiraling downwards. I mean, James has talked about this in the past, but the reality is that now in 2016 and 2017. Even though they are drawing 2.5 and 2.2 sometimes, if you look at the ratings now, I put a couple of links up, and I'll put them in the description box. They're still Raw and SmackDown are still the top shows on Monday and Tuesday nights, James.
And in the last, let's see, it's the end of 2017. Since the middle of 2015 to now,
we're not
lost a million and a half.
We're not disputing that, but it's relative. Everybody, people are not watching that much cable.
How do they stop? How do they stop the bleeding?
Well, they're still number one.
How do they stop the bleeding?
But are they bleeding?
They are, because less people are watching more than ever.
Right. No,
that is a problem.
That's not true. If you look at the links, SmackDown. Listen, you have to realize they have 2 shows, one on Monday and one on Tuesday, and it's one show is 3 hours and the other one is 2 hours. These are big shows. These aren't like other TV shows on TV, like Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones, where it's 1 hour a week. These are 3 hours and 2 hours. You're asking a lot of the audience. What I think really kills Raw is that third hour. People just can't watch that third hour. It's just killing them. And then SmackDown, a lot of times WWE sabotages SmackDown. They try to make it the B show. They try to take the stars away from them. If you read the article from Forbes, SmackDown is their audience has been increasing. They did a 2.6 in November, and they went up again leading up to the Clash of Champions. And again, these shows, James, I know I want to agree with you, and I do agree with you. Yes, can they be better? Of course. Should it be 3.6? Yeah, but it's just right now, it's just in 2017, 2018, it's not happening.
I think if their shows were good, the people would watch.
I think
any other TV show, if your product is good enough, people will make the time to watch.
Yes.
Because millions, tens of millions of people watch other shows religiously.
Right.
And they make it their business to sit on their couches or in their easy chair and watch that particular show.
We have to definitely agree that Raw and SmackDown have at least 2 million loyal fans, diehard fans.
And they used to have 4.
Right, but again, that's James. You're talking about 1990.
I'm talking about I'm not talking about 1998 only. I'm talking about
2006, 2007. Those are the holdovers from that era, and the ratings have been dipping ever since 2003, 2004. Ever since Stone Cold and The Rock left, that's when the ratings really started dipping. Even when Triple H was the top face of the company, they started dipping when he took over in 2004, 2005.
The point I'm trying to make is, if you're not growing as a business, you are dying. That is a fact in every way. I can say this, Frank, because in the job I work in customer service in the medical field. And I asked my director, What would happen in the span of a decade if we lost 50% of our patients? You know what he said to me? You know what he said to me, Frank?
Yeah, you'd be out of business. But James, that's
we would be panicking.
right. But James,
not out of business. We'd be panicking.
Right, but James, that's not really a good analogy because the TV audience is not all of the patients. WWE has fans all over the world. It's just the TV audience is
their main audience that's based here in the States. That is their main bulk of their audience, and they had a lot more Americans watching domestically.
Yes. Okay, but listen, James. Again, we keep going around. It's still the number one show.
And they used to have millions and millions of people more watching,
listen,
and now they don't because their show has sucked so badly.
Listen, it's like saying
turned it off.
Listen, it's like saying the Yankees are still winning the World Series. And they're just not winning the World Series like they used to when Derek Jeter was on the team. They're still winning. They're still winning their time slot, and not only on Mondays, on Tuesdays. So I can't get behind this. The sky is falling in 2018.
When do you start to say the sky is falling? When do you hit the panic button,
James? Right now they're. This is it. It averaged out. This is it's the ratings. Is how could you argue? How could you say they're dying? There's no other show on weekly show that beats them on Monday and Tuesday.
I'm asking you a simple question. How low do the ratings have to dip for them to start giving a shit?
When they get under 2, that's when they start getting consistently under 2. But they're not. They hit a couple times. Once I think. In the summer or September, they went to 1.8, but the ratings now are holding steady again, back at 2.7, 2.6, 2.8. So listen, I would listen if the only
thing I resent, Frank, the only thing I resent personally is when guys like Durst turn around and say they have nothing that they have to improve.
No.
That is a lie.
No, that's wrong. And WWE knows that they know they get complacent. They know themselves that when they know themselves when they know when they're getting complacent. Every company is guilty of that. You could get complacent, and that's when the fans will let you know you're getting complacent. But listen, they're already gonna renegotiate their contract next summer, a year early with USA, and they're expected to sign until 2023. I read so. I know a lot of people on a lot of YouTubers and wrestling podcasts want to keep pointing out that the audience is dying. Listen, wrestling is just not popular in the United States and these days. That's just it. Is there? I told you. Is there another wrestling company even close to giving WWE competition?
That's not what my concern is.
I know, but listen, you got to keep it relative, James. Is there right now? Is there even a second company where you could cite say, hey, listen, you see Ring of Honor, they're getting 1.5 ratings. People like what they're doing. If people don't like WWE, they're not going to any other alternative. You understand?
A lot of American wrestling fans have been paying more attention to New Japan. But I do know.
Yes, but you know, most of them are still WWE fans.
Yeah, and what's your point?
Yeah, I'm saying it's not like
I'm still technically a fan, but I don't watch. I'm a fan of a lot of the guys that are in that company, but because of how they're treated, I refuse to watch.
James, you don't really think every 12 and 13, 14 or 10-year-old boy is watching New Japan Wrestling?
I never said that.
Right. It's our demographic that has finally.
And our demographic is the majority. And the proof of it is a lot of us have stopped watching.
Right.
And that's what they're left with now. They're left with a minuscule number of what they used to have. Right. And they've done it to themselves, Frank.
Right. But again, listen, like I said, I'm not going to keep arguing with this. They're still number one, James. And can they get more? Can they turn that 2.6 to a 3.5? Yes. I just don't see it happening. I don't see how. There's nobody in wrestling today that could turn up and bring in 1 million fans. There's nobody alive right now that could do it.
But it's not that complicated. The way you get people to tune in, Frank, is when guys get over, you run with it. You know how many fans that I've spoken to over the years that have said, yeah, I really was getting behind this guy, and sure enough, there was a guy that a lot of people were getting behind, and then the copper got right down from him and said, you know what, I'm not even going to bother.
Right, and it's also they also have to have interesting storylines, and again, I told you with the PG,
the last interesting storyline they had was Bryan versus the Authority.
Right, and you have to have interesting storylines, and just basically a lot of times they might have 1 or 2 or 3 storylines, and then it's always star versus star or comedy relief, and it's just garbage. But
they don't have any professional pride in their product. That is the perception that I have of them.
They're a little they're somewhat complacent because they don't have any competition, and they think they're just doing fine as it is, and they don't have to rock the boat because again they don't have anyone pushing them. And again, yes, everybody's their competition on TV, but again, they win their time slot every Monday and Tuesday. If you are USA, what are you going to tell them? Oh, you're number 1, but we want 1 million more fans. It's just not happening. Who out there is outranking them? Maybe we need a show that comes and beats them. Maybe then they'll change.
Frank, over the years, I've heard 1.5 million excuses of what they need to have happen for them to change how they do things. I was told you got to have the whole arena booing Cena. Then I was told you got to have someone outsell him. Then I was told you got to have the ratings go down. Then I was told that the live event attendance has to go down. Well, I've seen all 4 of those things happen, and they're not changing the fucking.
You know what it is? They don't happen all at once. That's what it is. They don't happen all at once.
Really? They don't happen all at once? Their ratings are down. Their live event attendance are down. Other guys are selling more merchandise than the hand-chosen favorites, and the hand-chosen favorites get booed consistently.
Right.
I think that's all 4, Frank.
Yeah, but John Cena's not full time.
No, but now it's someone else. Now it's someone else in his spot who's getting booed worse.
Right, and he's not the heavyweight champion like John Cena was every 5 minutes.
No, but he's still in the 1A spot.
Yeah, but
yeah, he is.
He is.
I know you think Brock is the face of the company. He's not. The face of the company is ever present. Roman Reigns is ever present.
You know what they do with Roman Reigns? They keep him warm. They keep him warm. He'll open up the show. He'll have a match at 9 o'clock, and then he's gone. He's not really. He is the focus, but he's not the focus. Not all the time from what I've seen in the last 8 months.
Well, Frank, I'll be very interested to speak to you when I read this. When I read the results of WrestleMania 34, because I will read the results because I would like to know what the results are, and I'd like to see how stupid they are.
Well, we'll see what happens. Listen, I could be wrong. I could be right. Who knows? Anything.
Frank, I hope you're right. I hope Roman does win the Rumble and that he beats Brock. I know better. I know that they don't give a shit. I know you think they care. Frank, they've proven when they allowed, I know that, again, this is something I'm going to keep going back to. You've told me yourself that The Undertaker was Vince's favorite wrestler.
Yes.
Well, when Vince allows his favorite wrestler, who is more respected than anyone since Andre, to lose to the most least over babyface since Lex Luger, I don't know what else to tell you, dude.
Well, pal, you got to give back to the business.
And he did when he lost to Brock Lesnar and dropped the streak.
Listen, it is what it is.
No, that's that. But that right there is the problem, Frank. It's not. It is what it is. It is. They have to be better.
The thing is, John Cena is what John Cena is good at is that he's a very smart backstage politician.
He's a backstabbing shark.
He was supposed to. He was supposed to be in that match with Undertaker. And he knew that beating the Undertaker was going to get him heat, and that's why he backed out and used the excuse.
Well, there was a very simple result: have the Undertaker win.
Well, maybe you could speak
Roman, and guess what? At the end, have Roman powerbomb him through the table and send him into retirement, a broken man.
Next time you meet the Undertaker, maybe.
Oh, there won't be a next time. There won't be a next time.
All right, listen, James. This is a very good show. Thank you, and we're going to be talking again very soon. Hopefully this week we'll have your cohort Nick Durst, and maybe we'll see what he
I
has to
need
say.
him like I need root canal.
He wants to talk to you about the Miz being the #1 wrestler, voted by Rolling Stone.
That's fine.
Okay.
He earned it. He in the last year and a half, the guy did well for himself. He earned it. I can't say anything about that.
And not only
I don't have a problem with the Miz.
not only is he filming the Rain 5, now it's rumored that him and Maurice may get their own show on E.
That's fine. Good for him. Mazel tov to him. He's got a child to raise. So do I.
All right, and yes, and that's very good. All right, listen, James, thank you. We'll talk hopefully again Saturday. Okay.
Sounds good to me.
All right, buddy. Okay, like and subscribe. We'll see you soon.